Welcome back to the Mind, Body, Spirit podcast. I am your host, Coach Jordan, and I'm here to help you master the mindset behind your nutrition and your fitness. That way you can lose body fat sustainably. Enjoy the show. Health and fitness is a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. Let's be honest, most of us are in this group and most of us do certain workouts expecting some sort of result, right? It might not always be in the primary focus. However, if you are expecting to, if you're in this group to build muscle and you're expecting to work out to build muscle, or you're in this group to lose body weight and you're expecting your workouts to help you lose body weight, they should help get you to where you're going, right? So results do definitely matter. They are important. And if your main goal is to just have fun and maintain, then there's still specific workouts that you could do for that, right? And it's going to be prioritizing more of the funness of your workouts, which could be like rock climbing and ballet dancing or salsa dancing and things like that, right? And I can kind of go into, I'm going to break down 3 primary goals outside of having fun, which I think should be something that we kind of add into all of them regardless. I'm going to talk about that. But I'm going to talk about essentially athletic performance. If your goal is to get stronger, right? If you're a powerlifter or you're a strength athlete, or if you're recreational football on the weekends or whatever it might be, right? If your main goal is performance, then we'll talk about that. We'll talk about if your main goal is aesthetics. If you want to lose body fat, build muscle, get more aesthetic looking, get more lean, toned. And I'm going to talk about that today as well. And I'm going to talk about longevity. So if your goal is to just live long and live a long, healthy life, right? And health and fitness definitely is a huge part of that. And there's a specific way of training and eating for each 3 of these main goals. And then there's different subcategories in each goal, right? So if your goal is sports performance, but you're a hockey player, and someone else's goal is sports performance, but they're a power lifter, there's completely different training methods and importance on training and eating for both those athletes, right? Just like the same thing goes for longevity, same thing goes for aesthetics. So I'm going to kind of break them all down, and then I'm going to break them down into phases. But first off, before I go any further, if you're watching live right now, let me know what your main focus or your main focus is right now for your workouts and your nutrition. What goal or what result are you hoping to achieve? If you're watching on the replay, same question. What result are you looking to achieve right now? I'm going to go ahead and check the comments. If you're watching live right now, let me know what is your goal? What is your result that you're looking for? Why do you work out? If it's to have fun, cool, put that down. If it's to get more aesthetic, to lose body fat, cool, put that down. If it is to become stronger or increase performance of some sort for some type of sport, put that down. If it is longevity, should have my mic in front of me, so you just want to be healthier, have less back pain, knee pain, have a better quality of life, or maybe it's chronic disease, heart disease, diabetes that we want to stay away from. Let me know right now, what is the result that we're shooting for? And I got a couple of you watching live, so let's go. Rita says, I work out for my health, essentially lose body fat. Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Rita, for sharing. I'm going to help you kind of understand how to unlock that goal and the different phases and the different how we can basically equip you when it comes to nutrition and fitness so they match and then you actually get where you want to be. All right, so I'm going to start with aesthetics because I feel like that's a pretty popular one, and also because Rita said that she mentioned, losing body fat. Linda said 1 and 2 also, yeah, so losing body fat, says Kate, gaining strength muscle, perfect. All right, cool, I'm getting a lot more comments now. Awesome, thank you guys. Might be on a delay, so that's awesome. So yeah, let's start with aesthetics then. So I'm going to break it down, and I've got a little bit of notes here too I'm going to pull up. So for aesthetics, right, we can break things down into 5 steps. There's essentially 3 main ones, but I like to break it down into 5 because there's one step that's going to be true for no matter what your goal is, if it's aesthetics, longevity, or performance, where you need to start with clarity. So this is going to be the one phase that kind of is always going to be consistent. You got to understand what it is that you want to achieve, what you're willing to give up to achieve that, or sacrifice to achieve that, for how long it should take you to get there before starting, right? And then so clarity, it could be something like, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds of body fat and get leaner and more toned and maybe stronger as a result along the way. So that's your aesthetic goal. And priming is a good step. After that, should take 2-3 months to lose the body fat by adding in more activity or cutting out a certain amount of calories, right? Or you can even follow a restrictive diet and it would work at that point, as long as you get these steps right. And then recovery, so get the calories back in, go back to maintenance, and then integrate that into your lifestyle so you don't have to do it again, right? And just maintain those results. So clarity should just figure out what you're going for and how you're going to get it. Now, if you don't know all those things I just said, that's fine, because I'm going to break them all down next. Priming is going to be step 2. So no matter what, if you're having an aesthetic goal, we need to prime first. So if you've already got a really solid lifestyle where you've been focusing on longevity for a very long time, then you're probably already pre-primed, which is great. You eat a good amount, your metabolism's super flexible, you sleep well, you got low stress, you have tons of steps throughout the day, at least 7,000 or more. You drink plenty of water, eat lots of protein, you've been doing that consistently for at least 6 months, then you're primed, ready to go, and you can kind of skip that because you've already done the priming phase. But if you tried dieting in the past, if you've not been eating enough protein, you've not trained, you've never been in the gym before in your life, you've never worked out before, then priming is super important. We can't just jump into an aesthetic goal without priming first. So what does priming look like? First off, there's kind of 3 things that I like to look at, but really it's everything I just mentioned. It's setting a solid foundation and base of health. So it's building muscle, getting as strong as possible, which in order to do that, you need to drink more water, eat more protein, get more sleep, and strength train a few times per week, 2 to 3 times per week. Ideally total body, so you can get in, get out. You don't have to spend a lot of time doing that. Once you've got that solid base and you've been working on that, getting stronger, getting healthier, increasing your energy, increasing how much you can eat without gaining weight, getting more metabolic flexibility, decreasing your stress, at that point your body is primed and ready for a fat loss phase or to burn body fat and get more lean or toned, which if you have an aesthetic goal, it's probably your goal right there. So you want to get to that phase first. Priming, no matter where you're at, I would say at least prime for 3 months. If you're coming from, you've always undereaten or you've always overtrained in the past, I would prime for longer than 3 months, maybe 6, maybe 10 months. I've seen a client have to prime for 10 months before going into fat loss, but it's worth it. And then you enter fat loss activation, and what we're going to be able to do is create that deficit so you can burn body fat, right? So that could be maintaining your solid base, should be always maintaining your solid base, and increasing activity levels, so getting more steps in the day. If you normally get 7,000, we want to create a deficit by getting maybe 12,000, right? And just ramp up those steps. You could also cut away some calories. So, and maybe a combination of the 2, steps and calories, boom, increase steps, and then decrease calories by a little bit. And when I say by a little bit, I mean 300 calories tends to be a little bit, but enough to make a difference. 500 calories is a little bit more. So if you're not seeing a difference with cutting 300, then cutting 500 makes sense. Cutting 700 is really the most I would ever have someone cut at one time. If you're not losing weight with cutting 700 calories, then you're not primed for weight loss. Your body's just not responding well, and you need to spend more time in priming, right? I think a lot of times we get stuck just wanting to lose weight when we have an aesthetic goal, and what ends up happening is people will cut calories and keep cutting because they're frustrated because they're not losing weight, when really they should be going back to priming, realizing that they should get stronger, gain the ability to eat more without gaining weight, gain more metabolic flexibility, get more mobile, stress less, and just have a better base, right? Because if your base is not solid, then trying to lose body fat is going to seem like Russian roulette or like you're gambling or rolling dice sometimes. But if you come from a good solid base, you can pretty much predict what's going to happen next. Once you've lost the body fat, so if your goal is to lose 20 pounds and your fat loss, you've primed for 6 months, and then you go ahead and do off and on calorie deficit with more steps for like 3 months, boom, you lost your 20 pounds. Now it's time to recover, right? We do not stay at your diet and make your diet a lifestyle. That does not make sense. I know a lot of people try and do that, and that's where it doesn't work long term. You don't get long term results, because if you did keto and then you tried to make keto your lifestyle, eventually your health goes down, energy goes down, you adapt, right? I've seen people try to adapt to 1,200 calorie diets as their lifestyle because they lost all their weight on it, and they think, okay, I just got to keep doing it and I'll be happy. It's worth it, that trade-off. But what ends up happening is quality of life goes down, they start gaining weight, they gain all the weight back, and then metabolism's in a worse spot. So we do not go straight to lifestyle integration, right, without recovering first. So clarity first, prime the body, get strong, build a solid base, lose body fat, and then recover your metabolism. Go back to priming again, build more muscle, eat more, focus maybe more on mobility and stretching rather than strength training for a little bit, and then get back into strength training again, and so we can start crossing back over into more lifestyle integration. And then again, at that point, your goals might change. You no longer need to lose 20 pounds. Maybe it's just about having fun and maintaining your results. At that point, you can go ahead and join a hockey league or start hiking more often or whatever it might be. And you don't have to necessarily strength train all the time, right, to keep maintaining your results. It actually takes a lot less effort to maintain than it does to build results in the first place. So that's how you get an aesthetic goal, such as losing 20 pounds. I understand there's more aesthetic goals out there, like just gaining 10, 15 pounds of muscle, and in which case it's very similar. You would still clarity first, realize that you got to prime. Then instead of trying to do a fat loss activation, you would kind of do a muscle, like hey, I'm going to go into a surplus and try to eat a little bit more and gain weight. You would actually pull down your steps for a short period of time, and you would make it easier to build muscle. And then if you needed to, right, you would go, well, you should actually just recover from that, go back down to maintenance. Body fat should start coming off at that point. And it should be able to be easy to integrate back into your lifestyle again. And just you would need to continue strength training to maintain lots of muscle mass, though. So if you're trying to gain and build, just know that lifestyle integration looks a little different than if to try to keep muscle on, like large amounts of it, which your body doesn't really naturally have, versus if you're just trying to keep body fat off. But keeping body fat off is a lot easier than maintaining large amounts of muscle mass. I'm going to pause for a sec and see if that made sense. And if you guys had any questions, want me to elaborate before I go into more longevity focused. So please, if you're watching live or on the replay, right, let me know what other questions you got. Not seeing any on the computer. Sometimes that's a little slow, though, on the comments. And let's see here. Oh, nope. Okay, cool. So no questions on that. So I'm going to jump down to number 2, which I think Rita and Linda both said, like, hey, lifestyle is important, health is important, or not lifestyle, longevity is important in life, and health is important, right? So let's go ahead and jump over to that. So clarity, again, focusing on if your goal is to live longer, be healthier, have more energy, just feel better, right? Identify the places where you think you can improve and where you feel like you should improve, right? And then identify the problems behind those symptoms. So if you think, hey, my energy is low, how is your sleep quality? Are you sleeping well, right? If you're not sleeping well, then no wonder your energy is low, right? If you're not drinking enough water, no wonder your energy is low. If you feel like you could be healthier, and then you look at your food that you're eating and it's mostly like processed food and fast food, then of course we want to optimize that to eat healthier, right? So you got to identify the things that are not getting you closer to your goal, which is longevity and health, and then we want to say, hey, what am I willing to do, or as a compromise, what am I willing to do, what am I willing to change to get me closer to that goal? And then boom, you start working on it, right? And I would still say there's a priming phase in there, because muscle mass actually is something that will make you live longer and have better, just overall, like, age better, be stronger. If you're stronger, you're less likely to get injured, less likely to have back pain, knee pain, things like that, if you got good
functioning muscle. All right, as you get older too, for longevity, protein intake becomes even more important. So as you get older, your protein intake actually should go up because it's harder to maintain muscle mass. And that comes from not just being older, but I think it comes from the fact that we just need more protein as we get older. So therefore, muscle mass is harder to build unless you have a really high protein diet, right? So maintaining lots of protein in your diet, staying active, right? Making sure we're mitigating stress, getting rid of stress, all those things that you would do for priming to get ready for effective fat loss make you healthier, right? And of course, we can overdo anything. So if you're overdoing workouts, then that all of a sudden you're no longer priming. You're more like becoming an athlete, and that's a whole different goal, right? So we need to find a happy medium of doing the things like going to the gym the right amount, with the right frequency and intensity, to where you get stronger, healthier, more mobile, don't sacrifice anything on that end, and just be able to feed into longevity or prepare you for fat loss if it was goal number one, right? So you pretty much will stay into, if your goal is longevity, you'll pretty much stay in a perpetual priming phase, with an emphasis on recovery and figuring out where you need to recover from, right? And if you have lots of stress in your life from work, then we need to de-stress. If you have lots of stress in your life because you're not eating healthy, then we need to probably upgrade the quality of the food you're eating, right? If you got allergies, cool. We got to figure out how to, either improve your allergy symptoms or, stop eating certain things which you're allergic to, right? Stuff like that. So when it comes to longevity, you just stay in a priming phase for pretty much forever. So if your goal is to, hey, I need to lose a little bit of body fat and then maintain it, you would essentially say, all right, for a season, I'm going to be doing an aesthetic goal. Maybe it's a year. You focus on aesthetics. And then from that point, once you're done and you go into that lifestyle, you want to make sure you start priming your body for just living a longer, healthier life. All right. And those decisions are going to be going towards that, which also means happiness, right? Being happy is also, like, your mental health is a huge part of longevity. So if you never let yourself have your favorite food because you're in the name of health, you're not actually being healthy too. So realize that longevity goals are very much like in the middle, splitting everything. If you are really focused on longevity, you're going to be strong, but you're not going to be the strongest you could be. You're going to look good, but you're not going to look the best as you could be, right? You're going to just maximize your health. And anytime you go towards the extremes of, hey, I want to perform really well and get really, really strong, some health will be sacrificed. Anytime that you go, running a marathon is a great example of that. Like, running a marathon is not healthy on your body, right? But running is. So it's one of those things where anything in the extreme will, take a toll on your health. So understand that if longevity is your focus, that you're just splitting everything down the middle. That you're getting a little bit of everything, but not a lot of anything, right? So I think if you come to terms with that, longevity becomes pretty easy. I got some more questions. Awesome. So cycling, you cycle it out. What are we cycling out, Rita? Let me know. Are you talking about the phases? Because if there's yes, there is phases to everything we do, right? So if you are trying to lose body fat, for example, or build muscle, you shouldn't be doing that permanently, right? There should be a time when if you are trying to build muscle, where you're no longer trying to build muscle, but instead you're focusing more on priming and longevity, and then you go back into building muscle again, and then you go away and then back in, right? Same thing for fat loss, right? We should focus on priming and your body ready for fat loss, do it for a season, and then get out and go back to, hey, what's a healthy lifestyle, and focus more on longevity for a little bit and priming your body again for more fat loss if you need it, or for more muscle building if you want it, right? So that's how these different phases really, really help. And because we can't really effectively focus on more than one goal at a time, right? So if your goal is aesthetics, and we can split that into two things, building muscle and losing body fat, you need to build muscle to lose body fat first, boom, and then boom, so that helps, right? So you can bounce back and forth between the two, but if you're trying to do them at the same time, it's really, really difficult, and most people will plateau when they're doing that. Most people. There's some very rare circumstances where you will not plateau and get both at the same time. And I can do a different live on how to do that if you guys are curious. All right, last one I did not talk about was performance, but looks like most everybody in here only cared about the first two. So I'll just make performance really, really quick. So when you're an athlete, you need to prime for your sport. So think of preseason practice, getting stronger, getting more mobile, so that way you can perform well in season. When you're in season, whether it be a certain sport like powerlifting or swimming or marathon running, if you like to run, right, or doing triathlons, then you're going to focus on, just your event, right? You're going to do the event. Once the event is over, you got to recover, right? You got to reprime. You got to make sure that your mobility goes back to 100%, your strength goes back to 100%, your, like the toll that your sport will always take a toll on your body if you're doing it to your best, right? So you got to make sure you recover your body, and then you can go back to a good lifestyle again until the next time that you sign up for another marathon or another powerlifting meet, or you have a game coming up, right? And then you have to reprime again, and then boom, perform, and then recover, and then go back to your lifestyle. And hopefully your lifestyle is healthy, focused more on longevity, right? So it's the same sort of mindset that you would take into fat loss. Fat loss could be your performance or your sport, right? So for bodybuilders, for example, super aesthetics, taking aesthetics to the athletic level, then you're going to prime for like 6 months before a show, or a year even before a show. Then you're going to lose body fat and get close to where you would want to be for a show. Then you sign up for a show. Then you do a quick cut, that final, like 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 week cut to get you to that final stage. And then boom, you perform. And then you got to recover, which means you're probably going to gain body fat, because anything super extreme requires an extreme rebound, usually. But the healthier, you can do it healthier, right? And so the longer you prime, the less shows you do and stuff like that as a bodybuilding athlete, probably the better. Same thing with, the reason why any type of athlete has for example, football players, NFL, you rarely see football players go over 10 years. And if you do, they're just typically genetic freaks who got really lucky and not injured, right? And even them, they're performing for a season, and then the rest of the off season is just recovery, getting stronger, rebuilding for the next season. And when they're in season, they're not worrying about getting stronger. They're just worrying about winning their games, performing as best they can, and recovery. So I hope that makes sense. Any other questions, please drop them on the replay of this live. Thank you for the 3, 5, 6 of you guys for staying to the end.
Thank you for listening to the Mind, Body, Spirit podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to leave a 5-star rating or review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever it is that you get your podcasts, because this podcast only grows by you doing that, word of mouth. So I really, really appreciate that. And I hope you enjoy future episodes.